From the Opelco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. We're brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. Go online right now and order your pizza at papajohns.com. Barry, we're going to talk about some of the proposed new rules in college football. Hasn't been agreed upon, but a couple things that could play into how the local teams play, namely how fast the ball is snapped. Right now there's a rule out there that would not allow an offense to snap the ball for 10 seconds, so the earliest you could snap it would be when the play clock was at 29. Obviously, in reaction to these up-tempo, go-fast offenses, it could really impact OU and OSU.
Well, I mean, it could. OU and OSU have been going no-huddle, up-tempo for several years now. A lot of teams in the Big 12 have. Texas Tech led the nation in plays per game at 90 a game this past season. Baylor in particular really plays fast. Baylor a bunch of times during a game will snap the ball within 7 and 8 seconds. I don't know if it'll affect the Sooners and the Cowboys that much, because while they do play up tempo, they don't play at that breakneck speed. They snap it at about 10, 11, 12 seconds. Very rarely are they snapping it at 7 or 8. I think Baylor might be affected more than anyone in the Big 12. But what's most interesting is the contention in the SEC,
right,
where you got the old school type football coaches, Brett Bielema, Nick Saban at Arkansas and Alabama, respectively. They want to play station to station football. You got Ole Miss and Auburn, Hugh Freeze and Gus Malzahn. They are all worked up about the proposed change. So you've got some good civil war going on in the SEC. We might just have to let those guys fight it out, and the winner gets to decide. I think it's going to be a good debate, though, because basically what's happening is the college football has tilted so much to the offense in recent years that they're just looking for some way to help the defense out a little bit.
Well, Mike Stoops even talked about this, Barry. A guy that has benefited, his team has benefited from a more up-tempo style to run that no-huddle. Ran it with Sam Bradford, ran it with Landry Jones to some degree, and has had success with it. But Mike Stoops essentially saying, hey, it's getting to the point where it's all, like you say, tilted towards the offense. Is this the attempt to tilt it back towards the defense to maybe give the defense a little more advantage?
Yeah, I think so. And when you saw that last year where they passed the rule, you got to let the defense, if you substitute, you got to let the defense substitute as well. And if you'll notice, it's in the Big 12, we added an 8th official. In other leagues, the umpire did it, but the umpire would stand over the ball and not let offenses snap until the defense was set and ready. They're just wiping that out, basically, and letting the clock determine when the ball can be snapped. So I really don't think it's going to change the games themselves as much. It's more just a philosophical statement that, you know what, anybody that does try to take advantage of the defense, we're going to try to put up some roadblocks.
So much ado about nothing more than anything in your mind?
Yeah, some ado about nothing. Some ado about nothing.
Well, that's not the only rule change that's been thrown out there by the college football rules. Everybody's favorite rule from last year, targeting. We talked about it a bunch before the season, and then throughout the year it came back up. But the proposed rule change would be if a targeting penalty goes to review, gets overturned, not only would the ejection of the player be overturned, but so would the 15-yard penalty, which, Barry, this became a talking point throughout the year for a lot of coaches.
Well, it was an idiotic decision made last offseason whereby they would review the penalty. If it was a poor call, the player would be brought back into the game, but the penalty stands. It was like the Salem witch trials or something, where they they throw a woman into the pond, and if she drowns, good, she's innocent. She's not a witch. So it's just idiotic. If you're going to review, if you're going to take the time to disrupt the game and check out whether the call was correct or not, get it right. There's no reason for this rule to have ever been installed in the first place. Very solid move to go back and correct it now.
Well, I don't know about you, but when I heard about that aspect of the targeting penalty, I thought from the start, I was like, why would that be? Why are they still allowing the penalty to stand? And I think as the season went on and coaches saw it implemented, I mean, maybe at the time they thought the same thing that I think a lot of us did when we heard that, but as the season went on, it became even crazier. You're thinking, why are they still allowing the penalty yards to be marked off? And frankly, Barry, I think most people finished last season feeling like the targeting emphasis was a good one. I think that we saw less targeting. I think we saw more tackling that was the way that football would like tackling to be. But that rule had to change. Otherwise, the targeting penalty would always have sort of a cloud over it.
It was idiotic, and kudos to changing.
Right. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.